In this cool tips video, we're going to look a little bit at line height, something that you find in any situation whenever you are building a website, whether you are doing it fresh from code or whether you are using WordPress alone, Gutenberg, or any other page builder, and get an idea of how you can work with that when you are working with Brizy. Let's have a look just quickly then here where you have two typical situations for line height, including the third. And the first is whenever you have a header like this one that says wedding ring. The second one is when you have paragraph. And then in Brizy, I'm also going to include this one here for the button so that you can understand how line height affects spacing and readability or legibility. We go into the back end, and then here I'm going to click on the text element to bring up the options toolbar. Then we click here on typography and I'll show you what I've done. You will see that the line height is set at 1. If you bring in a new text element and drop it there, you click on the text element and then the T for typography, you will see that by default the line height is set at 1.7. This is just a standard and you find it everywhere that there is a default setting, and in this case it's 1.7. 1.7 is an excellent line height when we are working with paragraphs. Exactly what does a line height do? Line height changes the distance between the different lines within a paragraph, like so. If I decrease that all the way to 1, and if I increase it. And you can see when I decrease it all the way to 1, it just becomes very difficult to read. And that is why we apply usually a value from 1.5 to about 1.7, 1.8 when we are working with paragraphs. The reason why there isn't a set number like always use 1.7 or always use 1.6 is because no font is exactly the same. We talk about the X height of a font and we're not going to get technical about it, but the X height for certain fonts are higher, others are shorter. And when they are taller, you will use a higher line height. The best thing is have a look at it with your eye and decide, does it look good or doesn't it look good? Let's delete this one and I go back to the heading. So you know now that the line height comes in at 1.7. So why do I put my line height at 1? I like to do that for the following reason. It gives me exact control over the spacing on my layout. This is a personal preference. You can leave it at 1.7 if you want to, like this. But you can see maybe why I want to reduce that. It gives me that exact spacing of what the text element is all about. On the other hand, if we go to the paragraph and I click here again on the T for typography, you will see the line height at 1.7. You've already seen what happens that if we reduce it to 1, how bad it will look, and it just won't look good on any site. So we leave it at 1.7, or I often like 1.5, 1.6. We're going to leave it at 1.7. So let's recap. For headings, it's a good idea to leave it or set it at 1. And this way you have exact control over the layout. For paragraph, it's a good idea to leave it at 1.5 to 1.7. You can play around with what looks good to you. Then if we go to our button, you will see there's also the option for line height. This one is 1, and you can increase it, and you will see once you increase it, it will apply space at the top and the bottom. Again, not the best way to do it. If you want to apply space at the top and the bottom, then we go to our old friend padding. And within the button settings that is done over here at width and height, you can play around with it like this and increase it. So we come back here to T and reduce that to 1. And now you have better control over that. That is my height. Sometimes though, your heading will run in more than one line. So let me copy some text here and I'm going to bring it in here and paste it. Good. So we have here now more than one line. Even in this case, a line height of 1 still looks okay. For cases like these, I may go up as high as 1.2. But you can see that the moment for a heading, when we apply a line height like 1.7, it doesn't look right. It doesn't look normal. So for a small line like this and just 2 lines for a heading, it's better if you keep it between 1 to 1.2. Let's recap. For headings, a line height of 1. For multiple line headings, a line height of up to 1.2. For paragraphs, a line height from 1.5 to around 1.7. And then for the button, well, you can decide here. I recommend you leave it at 1. And if you want to add some space at the top and the bottom, go to the button settings and over here at height, you can adjust it over here. And that is our cool tip for this Tuesday here at Brizy. For more tips like this and others, for now, for the future, and in the past, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also join us on our Facebook community and visit our website at brizy.io.